paperback and e-readers this March. John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose. The man who rules the world runs into the irresistible force of a man with nothing to lose in this action-packed, all-new John Haynes series adventure. Get the regular and variant cover editions of John Haynes, the man with nothing to lose this March. A year after promoting so-called diversity at the Oscars, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences has gotten back to the racism and white supremacy that have been a staple of the institution for the last 92 years. And they got back to that racism and white supremacy in full force by nominating Cynthia Erivo for her performance in the movie Harriet. Now, this film, Harriet, on the merits, was an absolutely terrible film, and by the Academy's own standards, it would not have passed any muster for any nominations based on the merit of the film or the merit of the performances. However, the Academy decided to nominate Cynthia Erivo for Best Actress in Harriet, all because the film fit their narrative for racism and white supremacy and its ongoing legacy of nominating black actors and black actresses for playing and portraying stereotypes on film and promoting racist and white supremacist narratives on film. And this nomination of Cynthia Erivo is extremely egregious when you think about it, because she is being nominated not for an accurate portrayal of Harriet Tubman, but a portrayal of Harriet Tubman that degrades the image of one of our black American heroines and maligns the reputation and legacy of one of our black American icons. Now, the real Harriet Tubman was a strong black woman, a woman with a hard as steel resolve and a strong character. And that was not portrayed by your Cynthia Erivo on screen in the movie Harriet. No, your Cynthia Erivo degraded the image of Harriet Tubman, one of our black American heroines and one of our black American icons, by bringing the image of Harriet Tubman down to a buck-dancing, eye-bugging, step-and-fetch-it mammy who was pining after her white slave master, a complete slap in the face to the historically documented way your Harriet Tubman was known to behave, and something that was only designed to present an image of Harriet Tubman that would be considered only appealing to a white supremacist and a group of racists. And it's clear to me that those who are in Hollywood on the left are just as racist and white supremacist as they say those who are on the right, because for them to nominate Cynthia Erivo for this portrayal of Harriet shows us all that they aren't about promoting the so-called diversity at the Oscars with this nomination. It's all about them rewarding someone for portraying the images of black people they want to see, which are your buck-dancing, bojangling coons, your slaves, your Jezebels like Halle Berry in Monsters Ball, your black brutes like Denzel Washington in Training Day, and your mammies like Cynthia Erivo portrayed Harriet Tubman as in that movie Harriet, which was completely historically inaccurate to anything as related to the life of the legendary Harriet Tubman. And again, the only reason why the Cynthia Erivo is being rewarded for her performance in this film is because it fits the narrative that racist and white supremacists in Hollywood want to see as related to the black female image, and it promotes the narrative that they want to see perpetuated and promoted in the black community. Because this nomination of Cynthia Erivo is done intentionally the same way it was done with Halle Berry back in 2001. And that was so that black girls could look at this Cynthia Erivo, the same way they looked at Halle Berry, and it would change the culture in the black community. Because back in 2001, when Halle Berry was given the Oscar for Monsters Ball, it was all part of an agenda to change the image of black women to fit white supremacy's narrative. Because before Halle Berry got this nomination, what happened? We had images of black women in media, and they were considered to be strong, intelligent black women. However, after Halle Berry won the Oscar for Monsters Ball, we changed from seeing strong, intelligent sisters in the media and in society to us seeing black women as presented as Jezebels, and black women going out to portray themselves as Jezebels, because Halle Berry's Oscar win mainstreamed the idea of a black woman as a Jezebel and cemented it as the ideal for black women to portray, because sadly so many black women were spellbound by the media and the fact that the white institution of the Academy rewarded Halle Berry. They thought that this was the way they were supposed to behave. And Halle Berry ushered in the era of the twerkers, the women fighting in fast food restaurants, the ratchet black woman, and opened up that as the social norm for the way black women were supposed to behave. And what they want to do with Cynthia Erivo is continue to compound on that by having this Mammy nominated, and then have this go mainstream, where your black woman falls into the social engineering campaign and starts believing that since Cynthia Erivo was rewarded for being a mammy and a bedwench, that being a mammy and a bedwench is the way to go. And again, this is all part of a social engineering campaign to get young black girls to buy into the idea that they need to deify and worship white men, and that they need to see a white man as an ideal and a savior, because that's what was portrayed in the movie Harriet. And the idea of a black man in the movie, he was seen as a black brute, lusting after white women and wanting to kill Harriet so that he could go get him a white girl. Again, in this historically inaccurate film, which portrayed your Bigger Long as a slave catcher, even though during that time black men were not allowed to own guns, and free black men were not going to be slave catchers in any way, shape, or form, because they themselves could have been captured and sold into slavery. So the entire film was historically inaccurate, poorly done, and poorly acted, but the only reason why they are rewarding Cynthia Erivo for her performance in Harriet is because it further pushes white supremacy's narrative regarding black women and regarding the black female image. And with this nomination, your Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences shows the world how racist it is, how it's all about not promoting so-called diversity, but promoting the narrative of white supremacy and promoting the ideas of white supremacy. Now, there are some out there who would say, oh, they snubbed Jennifer Lopez for the movie Hustlers, but that was, again, done deliberately because the Hispanic community does not want to see their women portrayed as a harlot, nor do they want that being promoted as a narrative, as the ideal behavior of a woman, to aspire to be a stripper and a harlot. And that's the reason why your Jennifer Lopez was snubbed for an Oscar, because they did not want that image promoted as the ideal for a Hispanic woman being a stripper and a harlot. And that's, again, why they snubbed Jennifer Lopez. But it's perfectly fine for Cynthia Erivo to represent the black image at the Oscars as some historically inaccurate buck-dancing, bojangling mammy, and for her to be nominated for this performance because the white supremacist Oscars are all about promoting the worst images when it comes down to black people. and rewarding those terrible images so that these images can be seen as an ideal for many generations, and that people will believe that the only way to get rewarded in white society is by playing one of these stereotype roles, whether it be a coon, whether it be a black brute, whether it be a mammy, whether it be a Jezebel, whether it be a sapphire. As long as you portray these stereotypical roles that make white racists happy and are able to laugh at black people, then you will be rewarded for your portrayal of modern day minstrels who aren't in blackface but are wearing black skin. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the links in the description box, or my PayPal or my Cash App. And if you want to pick up some positive portrayals of black people in print, you can pick up my ISIS series, my Esteem series, my John Haynes series, the book A Recipe for Success, and the Thetas on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle formats. And you can find many of those titles on Smashwords and the iBookstore. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.